welcome to a new episode of In Other Words with Danielle and Zara.
So this is a podcast where we're going to talk about a wide array of different subjects, from social media to femininity. So in other words, we're going to talk about all the things.
So I am super excited for today's episode. We have a special guest and he has been so keen to come on the podcast.
So keen.
So we have been in a 3-part series on relationships. I chatted so wisely about being single.
It was very good. Go listen to it.
I know. And today we have part 2. We have a couple coming on. It's Danielle and her counterpart and our production manager, Devan.
Yay.
So introduce yourselves, tell us about yourselves, and then also I think, Devan, you are promoting our local brand for today.
Well, yeah, before I get into myself, I've started my photography page, Graphic Studios.
Yeah.
So I've just, where I put all my XX photos and just my little passion project, I guess.
Cool. So check him out on Instagram. How do you spell graphic again?
It's graphic, normally just with a K instead of a C, and then studios.
Spelling problems.
So exciting. So shall we get into our relationship? Okay, so Devan and I have known each other for a very long time.
When Devan looked like a little monkey.
Yes. No, we were in the same class in grade 4. I don't think... Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good.
It was a while ago.
Grade 4. And we were in the same class in grade 5. Anyway, we knew each other.
Christy and Sherwood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew each other, but we weren't good friends really. We became good friends in high school, mostly in grade 9, because we did add maths together back in the day when we were very smart. And then towards the end of grade 9, we started liking each other. And then we only started dating at the end of grade 10 when I was 16, because I was only allowed to date then. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a interesting time. When I started liking Danielle, she always told me that she never wanted to date in high school.
I didn't.
And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, this might actually happen. And then we had to wait for most of the better part of grade 10 because her birthday's in November.
Yes.
And then 19th of December, we started dating just before grade 11.
And now we're here. It's almost the 19th of December.
It's almost it's almost half a decade later.
Wow.
Crazy.
Almost grown up humans.
Yeah.
Cool. So I am actually quite excited, guys. For those on YouTube, I'm extra prepared today. I even have notes.
Wow.
Because I have so many questions for y'all. And things that I want to take into my future relationship so that I can be as cool as y'all.
Yeah. We have so much wisdom to depart,
We'll
so
try
that's okay.
educate. I don't know how good it's going to be.
Okay, so I just want to start off with the beginning of your relationship. So for me, I strongly advocate for not dating in high school. I mean, I dated in high school. I don't regret it. It taught me a lot, but also just, you're young, you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
But it worked for you guys. I mean, you started dating, like you said, when you were 16. And we know a lot of couples. In fact, the last 3 weddings I've gone to, all of them started dating in high school and they've worked out.
Yeah, actually.
So what is your opinion on dating in high school and how did y'all make it happen?
Would you like to start off?
Okay. So I, in most cases, I think I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Just go around a date, because the fact is that in high school, you might think that you're old, but you're still so young.
Still a baby.
And you still don't really know yourself. I think what worked for me, at least, is that I genuinely feel as if I've come into myself from quite an early age.
I think so too.
So like I said in the previous episode, I was already okay to be alone. I was very happy to be by myself. I had a good idea of who I was. And obviously not as good as I do now, but nonetheless,
the foundation was there.
Yeah, the foundation was there. And yeah, we didn't have a very clingy relationship, I think. We weren't acting like a very serious
Your
relationship.
Typical 16-year-old couple.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But I think what's also really important is that what we mentioned in the last podcast, well, you mentioned it actually, is that you're never going to really have time. So I don't think it's a big problem if you decide to date in high school. You just got to make time for it.
Yeah.
And you actually got to want to do it properly. It's not a little oh my word, this kid likes me, I like them, let's date. That's not a relationship. That's having a superficial title for a couple months before it all fades away and then you forget about it.
I think something that I appreciated about you guys, and I still say it today, is you guys have always been best friends. Your friendship
100%.
has always been
yes,
the foundation of your relationship, so that's cool.
But as long as you make time and you take it seriously, it can work.
Yeah, it can work.
But if you don't treat it like the relationship it really is, even though you're 16, you're not going to go anywhere because, you know, it's not a real relationship to you. But if you put in the time, put in the effort, you can make anything work.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, so you guys only became official when Danielle turned 16.
Yes.
And like you said, her birthday was at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But you guys basically liked each other for a year.
Dating, but not dating.
Yes. So my question is, what is the difference between that? Like, what changes when you become official? And also, like, I don't know, I think as we get older, it becomes less like a big deal of like someone has to ask, like, will you be my girlfriend or boyfriend? So what's your opinion on like dating around, not like,
but like meeting up with a lot of people.
Yes, and then deciding like, okay, this is my person, this is exclusive. Like, how do you make that distinction? What's the difference?
Do you want to start?
I don't know. I think it's good to talk to people. I think it's good to interact with a lot of people, get to know who you like, what you like, the people you want to socialize and interact with. I think it's important to not cross certain boundaries with everyone you meet. Yeah. Because then what's the specialness about the person you choose to date? You know, there has to be something reserved for that. But if you're going around chatting to people, making friends, interacting, you know, that's what I would recommend. You know, and if you find that person that you decide is a special one, make sure that you actually have something reserved for her or him, so that they know that you're special to them. Otherwise, it's just another person. It's just another, you know, notch in the belt, as it were.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I think there's nothing wrong with making a lot of friends, talking to a lot of people. But as long as each person knows where they stand with you as well. So like you make your intentions clear, like, oh, I'm just chatting, I'm just doing whatever. And then I think the biggest difference, like when you start officially dating versus when you were just talking, as I think you reserve more time for that person. Definitely. At least, I mean, obviously there's like the affection side. And I think the difference with us is that I became more comfortable, more or less, with like giving affection, because before we weren't dating, I was like, this is weird. But the time, the time thing is definitely the biggest thing. But definitely chat to people, like don't isolate yourself and just try to only have serious relationships, if you know what I mean. Like, just chill.
Like communication as well, as you said, letting people know where you stand with them. Don't mug them around, don't lead them on. You know, make sure that everyone knows where you stand, because then you won't be that guy at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, then something a little bit more personal, intimate.
Spicy.
So you guys are Christian, you love Jesus, and so in honoring the Lord, you guys have decided to wait until marriage to have sex. So that's like quite rare in society today. And I think my question for you is, there's this mentality of like, you have to test drive the car before you buy it. And for a lot of people, the physical stuff is what sets friendship and relationships apart, which I don't necessarily think it's just that. But how do you like add that physical aspect into your relationship without overstepping? And like, I mean, you guys have been together 5 years. Like, that's a long time. So,
Okay, so I think the most important thing in a relationship is just like how you get on. So I think for us, like we are genuinely each other's best friends as well. And then I think even before you get married, like you will know if you have chemistry with that person or not, if you have that 100%. That spark, you know. So I can see the value, I think, like if you're not a Christian and you want to do that, but I think like it's not an important thing, and I think it's good to get to know each other more so without the physical aspect.
That's true. It can
because
become a distraction.
Because actually when you do get married, and you can ask any married couple, sex is like not even a big part of the marriage. Like it's important, but it's not like the biggest thing.
I think it's also important to realize that if you're not Christian, you don't have to hold yourself to this. It's just a personal view. It's a value that you have to make sure that the person that it's again, as I said earlier, saving something for that special person.
And then how do you balance your relationship, like your romantic relationship, and your relationship like with the Lord and with other people in your life? Because I mean, it can, like you said, you need to devote time, but
well, I think it is very difficult. But I wouldn't say I'm necessarily the best person to ask because I don't have like a bunch of people that I talk to in general. But I think I've definitely seen a transition like with us from like with seeing friends and just seeing each other, because for a while I think when we were still like newly into dating, like I never liked it if you just went and did things without me with your friends. I was like, I want to be included.
Which is fair.
Yeah, which is fair. And I mean, we will still include each other if we want to, but I don't feel like I have to be there in any way.
Makes sense.
So I think, first of all, it's important that you do still keep time for your friends. And I know it is difficult when you're new in a relationship and you just want to spend time with that person.
But don't be that couple.
Don't neglect your friends, because if you do happen to break up, they're the ones who are going to be there for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely like make an effort to still see your friends. And yeah, like I think it's good to prioritize your relationship, but
100%.
not to the extent that you only see each other.
But also I think open communication is one of the most important things.
Definitely.
I'm the needy one, so if I want to see Danielle, I'll be genuine. If I need to see Danielle, I'm like, I need some, because my love language is affection. If I want, to go watch a movie and have a cuddle or whatever the situation may be, I'll be like, I need to see you soon. When can we make a time?
Yeah.
She can't read my mind and be like, Devan's needy today. Let's make sure we allocate some time to communicate that.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people expect their significant other, because they're so in tune in so many other things.
So true.
That they expect them to just pick that up. And they don't, because they're human and they can't read your mind.
Yeah,
but if you communicate, if you say, or even with friend groups, hey, I'm going out with my friends, I'd love for you to be there, open that invitation, communicate it. And that person will be like, wow, this person, even though it's being with their friends, still wants me to be around. And even if they say no, at least the invitation was there.
Yeah. I think what you say is really true, because the mistake that I've seen is that, and in myself and other relationships, especially new relationships, is you have these unrealistic expectations.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
your life's not a Hollywood movie.
Damn.
You can't keep it to that standard.
Genuinely, communication is just so important, and that goes with all of your relationships. But like what you're saying about just spending time with God and your relationship with God, I think that is also difficult, but I mean, obviously that should always be prioritized. And your romantic relationship doesn't necessarily need to like interfere with that, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think just set time apart in your day for that kind of thing. And yeah.
Cool. And then I always say, like, I think you want to be with someone who makes you a better person, because otherwise, what's the point? I've seen like toxic relationships where two people love each other, but they bring out the worst in each other.
Yeah.
So like, how do you guys feel like you bring out the best in each other?
You can go first.
I think it's important to note before that is that you can't expect the other person to completely fix you.
Yeah.
You have to be your own human.
Or to complete you. Yeah. You're a whole person.
You're a whole person. Be yourself. Know who you are. And do you. But the best thing is that in a relationship is that it brings out the better parts of you. You makes it even better than the whole person you already are. And a good example of this would be back in high school when I was grade 11. Danielle and I just started dating. Danielle finished like top 7 in matric.
Of
so
course.
I'm this little...
She just cummed a degree.
And she just cummed a degree. So I'm dating a very intelligent human. And there's me getting like 70s and Danielle getting 90s. And I'm like...
70s is good.
70s is good, but like...
In uni.
You need... Yeah, in uni. You need to... I just felt like this pressure to better myself.
Yeah.
Because... if she's dating this person, I gotta prove that I'm smart.
Level up.
It's not dating an idiot. So I bettered myself, and I think in the third term or some nonsense in grade 11, I finished like top 20. Just to be like, I've done that, and it was really cool to push myself. To be able to complete matric with a couple of A's and being able to do well. But if it wasn't for that, I'm pretty sure I would just cruise through with 70s, not work too hard, and just still get into my degree, but not be at the level I could have been, and which I was at the end of matric.
Yeah, and I think one of the most valuable things about a relationship is just that you are learning all the time. So like you might not always be improving each other, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes things are just, they stay the same. Sometimes you have to go through bad things to improve your relationship or learn new things. And I think like one of the things that like I've learned from this relationship is just to relax and like also to be more trusting. I think it's not that I'm not an untrusting person, It is difficult, I think, when you're in a relationship and like your significant other is friends with like people of the opposite gender, whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't know how to feel about this, but you learn to deal, and we've gone through that,
and to trust the other person's not doing nonsense.
And like I think we've also learned a lot to just like communicate more with each other, and also what's that word when you negotiate, but like compromise. Thank you. I can never think of that word.
Compromise is very
learning
important.
to compromise with someone is really important, and especially in a relationship. And I think one of the ways in which I've improved is also just being more social. I think if we weren't dating, then I would literally not be going anywhere.
Shell.
Yeah, because I mean, I like socializing, but if I had my way, I wouldn't just go and meet new people.
Cool.
It's important to learn about the attributes of the other person. You know?
Yeah.
Not everything, but try everything. You know what I mean? And if you like it, you might find something that you never expected to like, that you like, and the other person's able to be a way into that.
Yeah. Cool. You guys do make a nice team. We have the podcast host and the production team.
Exactly.
I just tag along. It makes me happy. Okay, next question. What do you guys feel like you fight the most about, and how do you handle conflict in general?
We don't really fight. We more bicker.
Oh my gosh.
They
really do.
We don't. We have.
Not in a bad way.
I'm so happy that we actually don't fight in terms of like that typical yelling matches.
Yeah, we've never done that.
Or like not answering phone calls or WhatsApp messages or not seeing each other. Like we never do that. If we have a problem, open communication is the best way to solve it. We'll schedule a time to see each other in person. We'll have a talk about it. And we'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Don't ever try solve problems over WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And trust the other person to solve the other issue. Don't ever like have a confidant, like have someone to talk to get an opinion. Someone maybe it's older, been in a relationship longer, someone that can give you wisdom. But please don't go to your entire friend group and say
like
that
gossip and be,
my girlfriend's been doing this, and this, and all of this.
Don't
it
do
just
that.
causes so much drama. People love to hear that, and then they tell everyone else, and all of a sudden you've now labeled your significant other, who you love and you're supposed to cherish and honor, as this terrible human doing this.
Yeah. I think one of our biggest difficulties, or like our biggest sources of conflict, is affection, really, because Devan's a very affectionate person and I'm not. You can ask anyone in my family and they'll tell you that I just decided from a very young age that I didn't want to be kissing or hugging. So Devan is the only person I kiss. So count yourself lucky. So that has led to like a couple of arguments, a couple of disagreements, and that's just something that we've had to work through and that we're still working through, really, and just learning to compromise with each other. But I think what's really important when you're dealing with arguments or conflict is that you learn how the other person deals with it best. So for example, Devan likes to talk about it immediately, but I like to wait a bit and like think about it, get my thoughts together, get my feelings together. Yeah. And then we can talk about it. So, yeah.
It's also like with the affection thing, it's kind of like a way of growing, you know, it's not a problem that's going to magically disappear.
Yeah.
It's an aspect of a relationship and we need to learn to deal with it together. And that's why you constantly talk about it and you constantly make sure that you communicate with each other. And also with dealing with, you know, certain situations, I make sure that we talk about it soon so that it's not forgotten and it's dealt with, so the problem doesn't happen again. But also not immediately, because sometimes you make mountains out of molehills. Sometimes it
you
seems
say rude
like
things
such
to
a
each
big
other
problem in the moment, and then it's just like, oh, I was just annoyed that you said something, and meanwhile it just spirals out of control.
Yeah. And I mean, I think also another thing, and that we've both learned to deal with, is just like a little bickering that we have and just teasing each other. Because I mean, okay, genuinely, I do sometimes just get into an argumentative mood and I just want to disagree with everything Devan says, and that's just how it is and I can't change it. But just when it comes to teasing, like my whole family is very teasing-y.
Teasing-y?
Yeah.
Wow.
Lots of banter.
So
in the household.
Devan had to learn to deal with that because he was a very sensitive little boy. But he's much better now.
Very much was an emotional young human. And like that's the thing that I've come to learn to grow, is to appreciate Danielle's very dry and sarcastic sense of humor.
Yes.
But it's a sense of humor that I utterly love.
Yeah.
Like I've come to grow and love it. I really do like it, and it helped me learn to take a joke. You know, not everything has to be taken so seriously. Not everything has to be so intentional. Have fun with it, and I learned that. And sometimes I have my moods where I'm like, Danielle, don't joke with me. I'm not in the mood. But I'll let her know that. I'll be like, I'm just sometimes, especially if I take concerta, ADHD. You know, if I take on soda, it just puts me in a mood, and I'm like, I don't feel like being teased at the moment. But I'll let her know, and then she'll appreciate the communication, and we'll move forward.
Yeah, and
so
at
in those times, you won't spend time with Danielle and I at the same time.
No.
Yeah, it's just brutal.
But yeah, at the same time, like I've had to learn to know when I've taken it too far and to apologize accordingly, because that's also like just something that I like got a weird thing with.
I appreciate, and then,
yeah,
you know that that's something that I don't
yeah.
like.
It's like I often like I don't want to apologize for something if I feel like it wasn't a big deal, but like when you're in a relationship, you have to realize that that other person has their own feelings. They're not like you.
Yeah,
Whole nother human.
So yeah, that's just something that you have to come to realize. Yeah.
Cool. And then the next thing I wanted to ask, I think this is just because this is a very personal thing for me, is how do you learn to be vulnerable when it's not something that comes naturally to you? Because I think if you're going to be in a relationship that's serious and long term, you're going to have difficult conversations, talk about things that are uncomfortable or very personal. So how do you like navigate that?
I think it's important to open up. I think you don't really have a true relationship if you're not open with the other person, because you're supposed to be doing life together. You need to know all the ins and outs of that person.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that you have to take at your own pace. It has to be steady. Some people are very keen to open up. Some people are very closed off and, open up inch by inch. And saying this looking, but in a sense that take your time with it. But I think do prioritize it, because how's that person supposed to be your significant other if they don't understand you properly?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And I think it wasn't really something that we ever battled with.
No, we were very open with each other.
And I think that also
appreciate.
just came with being really good friends first. 'Cause I mean, like I won't really be vulnerable with like people I just know or whatever.
That's like
but
normal.
Yeah, but because we knew each other so well, by the time we started dating, it was okay. Like we could talk about those deep things.
Yeah.
We were very open before we were even dating.
Yeah, but I mean, even like just with being vulnerable with another person, I feel like you'd want to just talk about like why you maybe feel uncomfortable with being vulnerable, if you know what I mean. So they kind of like get an insight into your mind, and just take it slow as well. You don't need to rush or put yourself in positions that you really don't want to be in.
Yeah.
But
if you're dating seriously, you don't rush into it. You grow and you learn slowly.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it actually, because I know a lot of people have the issue.
Yeah.
And I think it's something I struggle with, just because when you've had your heart broken or you've been there, it's hard to like do it again with someone.
Yeah, for sure.
So good on y'all for getting together young and staying together.
Thanks.
Okay, and then, and I'm sorry that I'm asking this question just because it can be an annoying question of like, when are you getting engaged? You've been together for half a decade. But when do you guys feel like you'll be ready? Or when do you know like, okay, it's time to like take this to the next stage?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of difficult to say, because like we've already mentioned, you're never like fully ready for anything.
Yeah.
I've always said like I'd like to have a degree or two, like to have some kind of financial stability, because obviously like you don't want to just jump into like something like marriage when you're both like freshly out of university and you've got no jobs.
Very broke.
So yeah, I'd like to have that kind of preparation, but I don't know, I feel like that's just something that you grow to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's sort of like a phase of your life that you plan for, and you gotta make sure that all aspects of that new phase is ready. You can't just jump into it.
Yeah.
But also you got to know that that's the point of the relationship. That's the next stage. Like if you're ready for that next step, then it's something you start talking about, and it's not in like the Hollywood movies where you spring the question and the person's so taken aback. No, people are gonna be like, I actually haven't thought about it, and then it's gonna be awkward.
I would be so scared
if
someone just proposed out of the blue.
Exactly.
No
how are you
ways.
supposed to think? But you talk about it. You think like, is this something you're keen for? Is this something you want to do soon?
Are you keen to get married?
Are you keen? But some people don't like the idea of marriage, and that's okay. But you have to come to an understanding with that other person and plan ahead.
Yeah. And I just think, I don't know, my advice to young couples, and I think especially in the church, this is a thing where there's a lot of pressure on you, like to already know when you start dating that you want to marry that person.
Yeah.
No
And
one
like
plans that far ahead.
I don't really agree with that. I mean, that's just something that we also had to deal with. People asking us before we started dating, like, can you see yourself marrying this person? And to an extent, like, I understand what they're trying to get at, but also to ask that question to a 16-year-old, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I think actually it's very wise that you say that, because I feel like you should date with the intent of marriage. Don't date just to like break up.
If you know the person's not going to go the distance,
Yes.
what's the point?
Yes.
Why are you wasting time?
But at the same time, like I know for me, like I said, I've only been in one relationship, but I was like, this is the person I'm going to marry. And I was so set on it that when we broke up, it was almost like my whole future that I planned fell apart.
Exactly.
And it puts a lot of pressure on a person.
So much pressure.
At like such a young age. So yeah, I think it's very wise to
take your time. Like you have your whole life ahead of you, and just work on yourself as well.
Yeah, but also know that's something that you want. Don't listen to other people saying, "Oh, would you have to get married?"
Yeah, like it's the natural next step now. At
just
this time.
Enjoy the relationship, but
Yeah.
go into it wanting something serious. And if that
Yeah.
takes you to 5 years and then you break up, then at least you learn something in
Yeah.
your time. But if it takes you all the way, then you know.
Yeah, and I mean, this is messages for people who actually do want to get married or who do want to date seriously. If you don't want to, then
if you're just having a
ignore.
good time in life and you're having a jewel and you're enjoying it with somebody that you like, have a jewel. But if you want to take it seriously, like think about those things and plan accordingly.
Although I would say, don't mess with people's feelings.
Don't mess with
No,
people's feelings. Never do that.
If you're the type of person,
No matter what you believe, don't do that.
If you're the type of person, just enjoy the moment, have that understanding, you know.
Yeah, like we said, communication.
Communication.
The word
is
of the
key.
day.
Okay, and then I think my question would be, how do you not like why would people date? It sounds such a like silly question, but like, what are you excited about in the future? What makes dating cool for the skeptic? And you know that I've been the skeptic. In high school, I was like, I will not date anyone.
Yeah.
Men suck and I'm too busy. Like, what is great about it? And what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think what's great about dating is just that you have like a companion, you have someone to do things with, you have someone to split.
Someone to deal with
gift with.
nonsense. You're actually saving money.
Yeah. And I mean, you ultimately, like, you're spending time with your best friend, and I think that's what's cute. I think that's what's really cool.
Psych.
I can have multiple best friends, gosh. And I think just what I would look forward to at the stage where we are is just like the possibility of like living together and like just spending that time and traveling together. Because when you're still living with your parents and you're still like financially dependent on them, it's really difficult to do anything like that.
Yeah, that's true. So you're looking forward to doing Devan's washing?
No.
Very domesticated.
Yeah, he is actually.
I'm
He'll do
very
my
nice.
washing.
He's grown though. Fun fact, on our matric vac at the end of it, Devan needed to put... wait
I
for
didn't even
it.
remember this.
Devan, I'm about to chin you because it's so funny.
As per normal.
Devan needed to put like all the bedding and stuff in the washing machine, and then he called me because he was like, do you know how to do this? And I had to show him how to use the washing machine.
I've learned a lot.
You've come a long
I've
way.
learned a lot.
And he knows how to cook as well.
I'm very good cooking.
can't
I'd like to say.
Good on you.
Even Janie says so.
Wow.
But definitely doing life together, traveling, like the idea of just traveling with Danielle, going exploring. That's just something I've always looked forward to. And also you grow to just want to be around this person.
Yes.
And the idea of living with this person just seems like a good idea at the moment. So that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Any final tips, advice? For
Yes, I have that.
dating.
Of
course.
Firstly,
The wise one.
don't let people meddle in your business. And like don't meddle in people's business when they're dating, like for reals. Unless of course you can see some kind of serious problem, something like serious happening, like just stay out of it. And I mean, we've had like a lot of different comments on our relationship. For example, like when we were in matric on prefect camp, people were like talking about us because I didn't want to show a lot of affection towards Devan.
Oh, wow,
Bear in mind that this was a school camp. And people were like upset that I wasn't showing PDA. I don't even.
That's so weird.
It's so weird, and I don't even like PDA. And like we got some really weird comments as well. So.
But people like to pick. I mean, you're dating, and people know, and it's public. People like to pick apart. You're showing too little affection.
Yeah.
You're showing too much affection.
Yeah, and we've had all of that.
You're talking to this person, but
Yeah.
you're dating. Like everyone likes to chip in their 2 cents.
Yeah, like we had complaints that we're not showing enough, or that I'm not showing enough affection. Then we got complaints like later that same year, you guys are showing too much affection. I'm like, can you relax?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the same vein, kind of, just don't like share everything with other people. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the things that happen in your relationship can just stay between the two of you. And of course, if you want to look for advice from someone who's
That's
older
wise, yeah.
and wiser and has experience, obviously, like, go talk to them
That's
if you
a good
feel that.
advice to go get good
Yeah.
advice.
But don't go and like share everything with like your friends or
Yeah.
with strangers even. Don't
Because
do that.
importantly, you're dating this other human. You need to sort out the problem.
Yeah, and it's
you two.
between the two of you. It's not
You
a...
can get advice and get a little bit of a perspective. Yeah, don't rely on it because
Mm.
what happens if that person goes? Now you can't fix your relationship.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you need to sort it out with the other person. You know, it doesn't feel like a relationship when you're getting
Yeah.
a third party involved all the time.
And
Yeah.
honestly, in most cases, only like the two of you know how your relationship is, because
Mhm.
like a lot of it that's shown in public isn't really like what it is
Yeah.
like. So yeah, if you feel like you're perfectly content and happy in your relationship and someone comes up to you to complain about whatever, like you can just be like, no,
Yeah.
go away.
And I'll say, like, I've made that mistake with the two of you, because when you guys started, like, hanging out or whatever,
Yeah.
I was like, I'll give this 2 months tops. There's no way Danielle can deal with Devan.
Psych.
And
5
here we are
years
5 years
later.
later. But I think it is, like, because your relationship is between the two of you. And spending time with you, I've now realized, like, how well you guys do life together. You
Yeah,
didn't really get, like,
Ye-
off the bat.
exactly.
But again, it's the
Which is a good thing, because
it
Yeah.
I
ties into
shouldn't know
it ties
everything.
into the
Yeah.
word of the day, communication, and being able to actually want to deal with the other
Such a
human.
cliche, but
It
It's
really
true.
is
beginning
true.
to think it's really important.
But also the work that you put in, you have to want to do it because it's going to suck
Yeah.
sometimes. It's going to be great the other times. But if both sides aren't wanting this, it's not going to happen because until you
Yeah.
put in the commitment and you put in that commitment every single time, you know, otherwise, what are you doing?
Exactly. And yeah, just don't stay together for the sake of staying together. That's my last piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, I
out of
think
convenience.
I think the history is an important factor, but
Yeah.
if you're thinking towards the future, if you're going to be happier and the other person, your significant other is going to be happier, don't you want that for them?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't, like, I know it sounds weird, but are you going to be that selfish to deny them a happy life?
Yo, deep.
Wow. True love there. Okay. I think that's all.
Woohoo.
That was a good time.
was a
Thoroughly
lot of
enjoyed this.
fun.
Even I learned some stuff, guys.
Even
Who
you.
would have thought?
Even me. I just do want to take a moment to thank you for allowing me to be your official third wheel all of these
We
years.
didn't have much of a choice.
Anytime.
That's rude.
I've appreciated it, Zara.
That's all right.
So, yes, thank you. Also, I feel like we never say this, but we are on Instagram
Yes.
at, in other words,
Podcast. In
Someone's
other words,
forgot it.
underscore podcast,
Almost
I
forgot it.
think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please give us a follow, share this
Mhm.
with all of your friends, and we hope that you learned so much.
Yes.
We're looking forward to our next episode. We're going to have
Me
a
too.
married couple on, so things are
Part
just getting even more serious.
Woohoo.
So yeah, keen for that.
Yeah, and thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.